Hello and welcome to First Red Tech. So, day before yesterday was a WWDC, that is the Worldwide Developer Conference from Apple. And for the first time, Apple went all virtual. I mean, there were no audiences, no claps of anyone. So it was a fully pre-recorded virtual session. I saw it on YouTube. So it was a great presentation. I'm honestly telling you guys, it was really great. If you guys get any time, just watch the entire presentation. It's about close to 2 hours. So we got a bunch of updates from that, and this video will specifically give you all the highlights about all the updates that were presented in WWDC. So please make sure you watch the entire video. But before that, please subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon. Also share this video with your friends. So with that being said, let's get started. I've designed the video in a category wise, and I will go category by category. So first I will start with the iOS updates. Apple is trying to bring a lot of new interface changes within the iOS update of iOS 14, and I agree that some of the interface changes which they are trying to bring were already there in Android. So it's good to see that some of the things that users love the most in Android phone are coming finally to the iOS. So the first update which they are trying to bring is the app library. So it's a new kind of home page that you will get at the end of your apps, which automatically sorts and categorizes your apps according to the category of that app, and it will also highlight your apps that you use the most in a separate section. The second update is probably the highest requested feature from the regular users of iPhone towards Apple. So the second update is widgets. We all see widgets in the Android ecosystem that they can live alongside the regular app icons. So Apple is bringing the same feature into iOS. So now widgets will live alongside the app icons. Previously they used to be there in the today's screen, but that is a good change that they're bringing the widget section alongside the app icon. Picture in Picture is also coming in iPhone. I mean, that feature is already present since iOS 9 inside iPad, but it's finally making its way inside the iPhone via iOS 14. As always, like every other picture in picture feature, if you want to switch into another app, the video will continue to play in the background in a small box, and you can multitask basically using the app as well as enjoying your video side by side. There is a major Siri update as well. So when we used to call Siri, the virtual assistant used to take the entire space of the iPhone previously. So that's no longer will be the case in iOS 14. It will no longer be a full screen mode, so it will take much less space with respect to the real estate of the phone, and the entire speech to text transcription will happen offline, and it will not send any data to the Apple servers, considering the privacy aspects for the users. There's a good bunch of update in the Messages app as well. So now you can pin messages for the contacts with whom you want to interact the most. So pinning feature will be available from iOS 14. In the group section also there will be support of displaying the profile pictures or the emojis of the group members, and the person who was last active or the most active in the group will have a larger emoji just to highlight that who is the last active or the most active person in the group. So that is a good change. Actually, it's a fun change. In the messages also, you can now silent a noisy group, or you can only customize the group where you get a message with your name mentioned. So that is also a quite helpful change. And one more thing, Memojis can now wear a mask. In the Maps application also, Apple is trying to bring a lot of new changes. So according to them, it is a totally new redesign of the entire application, and the maps, the directions, everything will be much more crisp and much more precise to its accuracy. It's also trying to roll this map application later this year in the UK, Ireland and Canada. Maps also in iOS 14 will soon get the cycling feature. So according to them, it's a long requested feature for them. So those who love to cycle, they can now get precise directions, when to go left, when to go right, when to drop the bike, carry it up the stairs, and then again cycling. Once you select the route in which you want to cycle, it will also show the altitude of that terrain, whether it's an uphill task or a downhill one. App clips. I really love this feature because it happened to every one of us that we need some app at that point of time, but it was not installed in our phone. Maybe that app could have been used for payment purpose or some grocery shopping or some website visiting as well. So here app clips comes to our savior. So app clips are miniature version of apps which Apple will support from iOS 14. At any point of time, if you require that, it will download that in a jiffy. The apps will be of less than 10 MB, so it won't take long seconds. It will be automatically signed in with Apple using the Apple ID, so it will also not ask you to sign in. Just the app clip will get your work done in a very short amount of time. Now some iPadOS related features. So iPadOS will get most of the features from iOS 14, but it has down its sleeves some of the features which are specifically with respect to iPadOS. So starting with the universal search. So universal search is that kind of search which no longer will be full screen like the one we used to see in iPad today. It no longer will be a full screen search, and it can now dig deeper within keynotes, within messages, within mail and files. So it will have a much more unified searching experience. The next feature is a good one. I really think Apple has put a lot of engineering efforts inside this one. It is for Apple Pencil or Scribble. So according to Apple Pencil users, they give the feedback to Apple that when they hold the Apple Pencil, they don't want to put it down because it is so seamless. It works really good in the Apple ecosystem with the iPad and everything else. So Apple really listened to them, and now it can work on any text field. So in any text field where you want to input with keyboard inside the iPad, you can essentially write using Apple Pencil there as well. So that's a great feature. And previously in the Scribble option you can't copy paste. So now using double tap you can copy paste, you can select a range of selection and you can copy and paste. You can also scribble your notes, and that note will get converted into text, into typed text to be precise. So those are great features. And the one last feature which really caught my eye is when you want to scribble or take down a note, if you want to take extra space, if you want to make extra space for your note, you have the option for that also. This is really great from Apple and a very quirky one. Finally, some AirPod updates. So Apple is finally bringing automatic device switching inside AirPods. To explain this, suppose you are listening to music in iPad. So you will get the music through your AirPod. Now some call comes into your iPhone. It will automatically detect that your call came into iPhone, and it will switch the connection or the Bluetooth connectivity from your iPad to your iPhone. So in a way, AirPods can switch from devices to devices in a seamless fashion and very intelligently. Spatial audio will also be coming in the Pro version of AirPods, and it will give you a simulated surround sound using AirPods built-in accelerometer to make seem that the audio is fixed with respect to the real world around you. It will also make into account when your head is tilting left or right, and thereby adjust the audio accordingly, giving you a overall great surround sound into your perspective. Some Apple Watch updates. So finally, watch sharing is going to come inside Apple Watch. You can essentially share your watch faces with someone else via mail, Safari or messages. So that person will be able to download that watch face using a very simplified procedure. Multiple complications in app will now supported in the Apple Watch. So earlier it was only one per app, but multiple complications are coming into the Apple Watch. Apple Watch users will now get turn-by-turn notifications when they are cycling. So yes, cycling notifications are now coming inside Apple Watch, and the notifications will be bigger enough to be read by a user when they are cycling. Much requested feature, the sleep tracking is finally coming its way into the Apple Watch. So it can now automatically detect when you are sleeping, and it can now record your data, the sleep habits, the sleep schedule over time. The Apple Watch now can detect when you are washing your hand. It will now have a 20 seconds of timer. So if you stop before the 20 seconds, it will give you a warning to continue washing your hand and congratulate you at the end of 20 seconds if you complete that task. So especially the accelerometer inside the Apple Watch is made into use for that. It can now detect relevant motions of your hand wash, and the microphone also listens for the sound of scrubbing and water flowing. So that's how they are utilizing this feature at the end. Finally, some macOS updates. So borrowing this feature from the iOS, the control center is finally making its way inside the macOS. So it will have a similar control center like the iOS, and where it provides one-click access to display brightness, volume, dark mode, Wi-Fi controls, and everything else. So the notification center will be there along with the widgets, giving a more polished and unified look at the end. Safari is going through an extensive change. It can now monitor all the passwords that are stored inside Safari and monitor those passwords for data breach, and thereby letting the users know that whether any password compromise has happened or not. So that is a good feature. It's also a good feature that that Apple is trying to bring in the extensions world with Safari. So now you can allow the extensions that are installed in Safari to work only for a day, only for a website, or work for all websites throughout all the days. So that is also a good feature, that the users will be having the control in their own hands to control what extensions they want to use at the end. Another great feature in coming into the macOS update is the ability to run native apps inside the macOS. So Mac users who want to run any app from iOS can now run without any issues or hiccups inside the Mac OS. At last, the WWDC concluded with a huge update from Tim Cook. So it is true that the entire Apple lineup except the MacBooks, I'm talking about the iPad, Watch, Apple Watch, and the iPhone, all uses Apple's own manufactured SoC or the silicon for their computing, but they only use Intel based chip for the MacBooks. So Apple will be finally making the switch from Intel based silicons to their own ARM based CPUs, and thereby bringing more power efficiency and better performance at the end. So according to Apple, since the hardware and software integration will get tightened more and more, because the silicon will be entirely manufactured and coded up from ground up via Apple. So there will be a greater seamless connectivity between the hardware and the software at the end. So it will give a much greater throughput at a much lesser watts. And they told that they will still continue to produce the Intel based MacBooks. In fact, they have a couple of MacBooks which are Intel based on the line, but still they will be shifting from Intel based SoCs to ARM based custom Apple SoCs or silicons in the coming years, and the entire shift from Intel to ARM based Apple silicons will take around 2 years. So that's all the exciting updates from WWDC. I hope you like this short video. I wanted to concise the entire 2 hours video in a very short amount of time. So let me know in the comment section. Please share with your friends who are tech enthusiasts. See you in the next video. Bye bye.